that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Good morning, good morning. Welcome to The Rock. I'm your host, Pastor Steve Blair, and it's another wonderful day. It's going to be a great program. I have an awesome guest and a wicked topic, one that touches the heart of every soul in Jamaica, just about in one way or another. And what can I say? We've got to look at it from the perspective of the Word of God. It's about marriage. But talking about The Rock, this is where we discuss all sides of very many issues. And oftentimes it puts us on different sides of the fence where we look at it and delve into it and talk about it and walk through it. And of course, look at every side that we can to make sure that we have a balanced perspective. We also explore those common and not so common biblical subjects that we are also curious about. We cause believers and unbelievers to examine, re-examine, and look at the things they've studied, believed, heard, or read. And we force churchgoers to consider dialoguing on issues very often glossed over whenever we meet. On The Rock, we do our best to show Christians how we can live according to the Word of God. Of course, this is the show where all views contend, and it's not a dictatorship. It's not a debate. We just take the time to look into the topic. So welcome to all of you joining us via YouTube and Facebook. Of course, you know I call you my Rockites. So thank you, Rockites, for joining us. And you are the reason why I keep ticking, because you interact with me during the program. You interact with me many times after the program and during the week. And to those of you joining us from all over the world as a means of these media, we thank you so much. Whether you're in Boston, New Jersey, New York, the Virgin Islands, Europe, Canada, all of you, thank you so much. And of course, we look forward to your interaction on the program today. So thank you for those joining us via the love101.org and those joining us from the Love 101 FM app, downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. The definition is really simple. Marriage is a legally or formally recognized union of a man and a woman as partners in a personal relationship. But when it comes to the nitty-gritty, what is marriage? Where are the thin lines and the broad strokes? What does the Bible say about marriage? So I guess you figured it out. Yes, we're talking marriage this morning. And gosh, I hope we have the opportunity to save somebody's marriage, to make us think differently, to make us go forward differently, because we're always blaming somebody else. Today, I might ask you to put the finger towards yourself. I don't know. So, but before we go into it, I have a lot to share from my mind, and it's quite complicated today. There was a story in the paper, not a story, a letter to the editor regarding the loud mufflers. And I'm saying today that this is a good opportunity to speak about it. I closed out the story just a few minutes ago before I came on the program accidentally, but I will talk about it from my heart. Loud mufflers, loud music, people driving down the road don't care about who's around them. And of course, there are laws against some of these things. And we're asking you today, not just to turn it down, but to think about the people that are around you. So you come down the road with these loud bikes, these loud mufflers, with this loud music, and whereas the laws have been against it, my talk today is to say to all of you listening, it's not about how you want your car to sound or how you want your music to be loud. It's about thinking about the person around you. In fact, I've been in a business place ever so often, and when I get there, somebody pulls up 5:30, 5 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and the music is so loud or the noise is so loud, you have to pause the meeting to facilitate these people who are ignorant of the fact that they are disturbing your meeting, disturbing your peace. So to you who are listening today, the talk is be considerate. But to some of you leaders, we do want more enforcement, and Whatever we need to do, and I've been encouraging the police on this program for many weeks, but I do encourage you more today. Whatever we need to do to get people in place to enforce the law, let us get them there, because where the law is not enforced, there begins to become chaos. And where there's chaos, people just go crazy and do whatever they want to do, and it becomes even more chaos, as we see in many avenues of Jamaica, because we do not take the time to do what is necessary to enforce the law. With that in mind, I do have a few things that were on my mind as I was praying this morning. And I want to talk real quickly about media, especially to our young people. You know, we see a lot of things in the media, and we grab what the media offers as gospel, as a way of life, whether it be the woke culture, whether it be just the varying arguments, seeing people on our TV who are married but of the same sex, all of these things. And our children and our people have begun to accept what the media shows to be the way of life. What the media says and what the media does not make it right. And so it's very important. And not because they show things. I remember the days when there were cigarettes all over movies, because the cigarette companies were highly advertising to our people, black people especially. And with a few laws in place over the years, those things have diminished so much. Um, that is because somebody came to their senses. But at the same time, we see so much weed, we see so much people just hanging around, we see people just believing that they can play basketball or sing music. And so a lot of our kids feel they'll go in that direction because they see that, not realizing, only a small percentage of the world's population gets into that position. So I want to encourage our youngsters, if you're not in school today, um, study. Not just the youngsters in school, but those of you out of school, to take the time to study, work on your life, have a dream, develop a future. Because though we may be able to sing, not every song makes it. Not every action, not every skill, not every ability allows you to be in the top percentile to make it into the leagues around the world. Yes, but it takes a lot of work. And that's the other thing. Not a half an hour a day if you want to make it into basketball. It takes a lot of work. You talk about the Mamba man himself. Whenever he was playing basketball before he died, he spent hours and hours and hours practicing, and that's what made him great. But I do want to take the next few minutes to talk about something dear to my heart. While pastoring in Spanish Town, the evidence is there that there's so many gangs and so much disillusionment. I spend so much time with our young men and young women, and they talk about not having any work, not having a life. Um, Many times you go around the place, they're just on the roadside, and not just in Spanish Town, but in many communities across Jamaica. So today, I asked the question: how do we change the culture that we're developing, and especially this crime culture? A story in the paper today has the Prime Minister speaking about the lowest levels of major crimes in nearly a quarter century. But though the Prime Minister speaks about that, and saying that Jamaica recorded a 10% reduction in major crimes, which is murders, shooting, rapes, robberies, aggravated assault, and break-ins in 2023 when compared to 2022. And this downward trend has continued in 2024. He says, notably, the number of active gangs in Jamaica decreased by approximately 36% in 2023 to an estimated 176 active gangs. A few years ago, we were talking about close to 400 gangs. And so in 2018, they said they had 276 known gangs, but they had an estimated close to 400. So I'm saying today, as we look at our country, that we need to understand what is happening. Look at what we accept. We accept the clashes on the sound stage, and we see the fights in the schools, the clashes that lead to all the things that are taking place in the ghetto and in the society is what we see happening with our children. Took the time to spend some time with some of the young men in Spanish Town and some of the so-called gunmen, and what they're saying is that money is power. Everybody wants power. Everybody wants money. But I can tell you this: the gunman prays for better. Um, Many don't want to be in a life of crime forever, but they're disillusioned. Many didn't finish school. We've not, though we offer heart. We've got to get more people out there speaking to these young men and women, giving them a hope, giving them a chance for life. Young people are saying again in today's paper that there's uh, not enough housing for young people. And we at the same time we see people writing in the paper that the National Family Planning Board is wrong for offering what they've offered over the years. Two is better than too many. And of course, I don't agree with everything the National Family Planning Board says, but I can see where they're coming from. They say live your best life now, and they're offering condoms. But at the same time, whereas they may be going in an anti-Christian view direction, we've got to be truthful and understand that many of our youngsters don't even go to church, and they're thinking about that kind of lifestyle, going out having fun, but at the same time trying to find money. Young men tell me they don't have opportunity after high school. For some of them that did well, can't get to college, end up scamming, and then say to me, Pastor Blair, I will never go to work for anybody because I can survive scamming. We have a society, therefore, that is breeding room for crime. We can work very hard to cut the crime down. We can start to prosecute the dons. We can start to do the things. But the thing is, we are developing a society where children are having children. Children are not going to church. The culture is not giving them any hope. The culture is seeing a sex crazed culture. The culture is really messed up. And then they tell me when they see their friends die, they know the reality of what is ahead of them. They know they're going to die early. They expect that something is going to go down in their lives, and they have no respect for life. It's to the point where if something is done to them by someone and they can't reach that person, they're now killing loved ones. We have a society that is greatly in need of some people sitting down together and saying, let us change Jamaica. Um, I look at the schools and the many talks of the teachers of kids coming out of school that can't read and write. How do we expect them to push forward in life? We've got to look at our society. And I come back to one thing that I go to every week. The element of parenting becomes even more relevant. It makes no difference that we try to do so much that we don't spend the money on getting Jamaicans to a point. Whatever we have to do to have our meetings to get Jamaicans to a point, let's work on parenting. Young men love their mothers, but they don't respect them. They don't respect women. And so we've got to work on parenting. Where are the fathers? What are we doing with the fathers? How are we working to change the homes? The ghetto is going to be the ghetto if we don't start making changes and giving people ideas of how they can live and how they can move forward. A young man in the ghetto driving a Range Rover but not building a house. We've got a lot of work to do. And Jamaica is so much more than prayer. Churches, it's so much more than prayer. I call on the churches while we wait on us coming together. Churches, work on your communities and let us make Jamaica the place that it needs to be. I have so much more to say, but I'm out of time. So how does a marriage really last 50, 60, 70 years? In 2 weeks, it will be the 56th anniversary for my parents. Which ones do not? Some don't last that long. What's the point of getting married, whether it's the Western or the Eastern or made away? Prophetess Carrie Heron and Dr. Lakim Semaj will join me for this discussion after the break. And while we're on that break, post all your comments on the topic marriage. Yes, send in your WhatsApp messages to 876-997-3125 or send in your Rockite, your Facebook and YouTube messages. I'm looking forward to them today. It's going to be a great program. We're going to change some lives. We're going to bring some hope, and we're going to do some damage to the plans of the enemy. This is The Rock. I'm Bishop Harold Steve Blair.
Think ahead, make a plan. You got the freedom of choice.
Lark, long-acting reversible contraceptives.
I made my choice 6 years ago. I have an IUCD, also called copper T, and it will go and protect me from pregnancy for another 4 years at least.
My choice was an implant. It lasts for 5 years. And when I'm ready for a baby, I just make doctor take it out. Contact the National Family Planning Board at 9681632 to find out more about the Lark.
Think ahead, make a plan. You got the freedom of choice.
When tape diapers are difficult to change, it's time for Pampers Easy Ups with 360 stretchy waistband. They're easy to put on and take off, keeping their skin dry and protected.
Changes are easy with Easy Ups.
Hiya! Don't let the hurricane season catch you without your supply of Lanco roof coatings. Get the Lanco Duraflex, Urethanizer, Siliconizer, or Siliconizer Plus to seal and waterproof your roof. No leaking or moisture problems. Lanco roof coatings reflect the sun rays and reduce the heat inside your house. Use Lanco coatings on your sink, slab, asphalt, wood, and shingle roof. Available at your local hardware store. Lanco, your waterproofing experts.
Receive words of strength from the Voice of Power with Bishop Dr. Delford Davis.
The battle of seed has been declared many years ago and is still raging. I will put enmity between thee and between the woman, thy seed and her seed. A war will be on perpetually until Jesus returns. But I know who has already won the war. I know who has already won the war.
That's the Voice of Power with Bishop Dr. Delford Davis, brought to you by the Power of Faith Ministries International in Portmore. Voice of Power comes to you every Thursday at 9:30 a.m. right here on the family station, Love 101.
Speak, my Lord. Speak, my Lord. Speak, and I will answer. Lord, send me.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to The Rock. I'm your host, Bishop. I keep saying Harold Steve Blair. My name is Harold Ver Norman Washington Blair. My father was a fan of the late, great Norman Washington Manley. Great Jamaicans around the place, and we honor them today. We got two joining us, but I'll tell you more about them in a second. Remember, our topic today is marriage. Post all your comments on this topic on our Facebook and YouTube live broadcast of The Rock. Sending your WhatsApp messages to 876-997-3125. Do you believe in marriage? Do you believe marriage works? Can a marriage be rescued? Oh, we have some things to talk about today. What is marriage and why marry? Those are some of the topics. Joining me today on The Rock will be Prophetess Carrie Heron and Dr. Leah Kim Samaj. Prophetess Heron is an entrepreneur and ordained minister who operates in the prophetic and called to global leaders, media, business, and government. Her Thrive with Carrie podcast is now available on YouTube. Also joining us, Dr. Samaj is, in his own words, a quantum transformation psychologist and social philosopher, an author, newspaper columnist, and host of many talk shows. I want to say sadly, but not sadly. They're great. Casey Oldboy. His education has taken him through Princeton, Rutgers City College. He's owner and was selector of his own sound system. The man big about you. Because you know we love the sound system. And he wants to make it clear that he's a public scholar, not a Bible scholar. But we still welcome you, sir. We need your information that you have. He's a father and grandpa to 4 girls and 1 boy. Welcome.
Good morning.
Dr. Samad, you know, I sit down on my father's veranda sometimes playing dominoes, and they have these stage shows across the sea there at Helsha. And I said to my father 3 weeks ago, they don't even need to call in a major artists anymore. They just put a DJ on stage and play music all night, and they have a grand time. You seem to be. They seem to need a music man like you.
You know, that was part of the reason why I ultimately built a sound system, because as a university professor, I figured at what rate and pace would I be able to communicate? When if you talk over a mic in a dance, you reach hundreds, thousands of people. And I must tell you this, my most popular and impactful show on the radio was called The Night Doctor, probably when you were a child. Huh? And when the purpose of that show was to use music and talk to heal people. Because, you know, the idea that you can access people's minds through their ears. And by the way, my sound system, the name of it was Judgment. It's the only sound system referred to in the Bible. And before the judgment. That was my sound system being prophesied. And the sound system was the forerunner to the radio show. Let me tell you how. I played only uplifting music on my sound. My sound was one of the first 2 sounds in Jamaica that was completely digital. We only played CDs. We started in 1988. Judgment and black music started the same year, Mutabaruka sound. And at 12 o'clock, I would stop with the sound. Every dance was around one theme. Say, for example, in praise of black women. Every song we played in praise of love. Every song we played. And between 12 and 1 o'clock, we would turn off the music and talk. Anyone could come to the mic to give their views on the topic. And somebody said, but hey, Doc, this sounds nicer than radio, you know. And so on the basis of that, I took my idea to RJR. And we did it. You know, so the idea, you can use the tools that are available, my brother. You can use them.
Well, today I'm using the tools by having both you and Miss Carrie with me. I'm sure you all heard my little softened rant and rave today. Your thoughts? Let me ask Miss Carrie first.
You know, specifically, what exactly you want me to give your thoughts on? Because you went on.
Well, I spoke about a few things. I did speak about the impact of media, and you being a media specialist, the fact that people just take whatever media offers, whether it's true or not.
You know, I find social media to be quite disruptive. I find that what I've been noticing, and I noticed this trend from, because I did study media, but I noticed a trend when social media became popular after Barack Obama won. It was an international trend where people were becoming actually negative in their use of commentary on social media. And I feel that one of the things about traditional media is that the gatekeeping had a few different purposes. It allowed people to pretty much decide who was supposed to get a microphone, like, you know, Dr. Samaj just spoke about who had enough views or who had cohesive enough thoughts to be amplified, who was deserving of that. Now with social media, anybody can go on and anybody can say anything. The trend is that people are now becoming increasingly more hostile and negative on social media, and people are doing so much more performative things in order to be liked, to be seen, and to be noticed. And that is where I find it to be very disturbing in terms of what is possible and how it is that we are now working for the thing rather than allowing the thing to work for us.
Dr. Samaj, I did touch on crime and gangs, my experience in Spanish Town, the young people, their thoughts on hope, their thoughts on life. Your thoughts?
Are you hearing me okay? Because there's some noise outside.
Yeah, we're not hearing the noise. Not hearing the noise.
Great. I placed, when I heard your opening remarks, I thought I'd give you a little help. And I in the chat,
yes,
I have placed a most appropriate scripture. Ecclesiastes 8 verse 11 says, when a crime is not punished quickly, people feel it is safe to do wrong.
Yes.
That's it. We have this notion in Jamaica, you know, just by passing a law, it would change behavior. It doesn't.
No.
It doesn't. Unless you enforce the law. I this weekend I was having a discussion about how they have raised the fines in terms of the road traffic situation. What first thing that did, it increases the income of policemen on the road. You know, you've heard that once the police stop you, they'll ask you if it's left or right.
Yes, yes.
Are you going to left something or am I going to write you up? So it increases, you know, and it doesn't change behavior. Look, a stop sign or a stop light doesn't change behavior. It is what happens as a consequence of you going through it. And if consistently you do that and the consequences are negative, you learn something. But if you do it, and rarely, with our road traffic situation, all that we know based on past performance, just wait a few more years and there'll be another amnesty. And persons with over 1,000 tickets can come in and you pay for 20. You know? So we're not serious. Our people, they pass laws, but they don't enforce the laws. So there are no consequences.
Well, that's very interesting. The other part of what I mentioned was the life. Let me see how much time we have. Maybe just 1 minute. Either of you can answer. Young people seeking houses, stories about the family planning not they're taking time to carry forward their agenda, but some people are saying it's wrong in the sense that they're trying to cut down the population of Jamaica. In one way, it looks good to see that, but in another way, we look at places like the ghettos where children are having children, very little parenting, more increasing gangs, and we're searching for a way to save this country with all the crime. Where do we draw the line? How do we go forward? Can we do this together as a people? Anyone?
The issue is more complicated than even they are saying it.
Yes.
We have a problem in Jamaica now with low birth rate. I mean, low birth rate, because what is happening?
Yes.
We have below the 2.1. So that itself is a problem. We're not replacing the productive population. Now, but the bigger issue, I did research for the Family Planning Board about 20 years ago to look at contraceptive use. And let me tell you something, this may not be nice to know that one of the factors I looked at, where does religion fit? There was no difference between somebody who was a church goer and a Christian or not. You know what made a difference in terms of people, the use of contraceptive?
Education.
Women who had something to protect. Meaning, if you were in school or in a training program, you wanted to make sure that you spread out pregnancy or you delay pregnancy. But listen, when all your choices are bad, it doesn't matter which one you take. So that we really need to understand the complexity of the situation. And I have seen situations with young women from impoverished situation becoming pregnant was the greatest joy. A woman said to me, it's the first time in my life I have something that is totally mine. It's my own. Nobody can take this from me. So there's a whole other dynamics going on there. So, and too many times we look at things with just one-sided. So we really need to, even as we go to our main topic today, we need to look at it from as many perspectives so people understand the fullness of the process.
Well, we'll do that, and maybe my producer Kathy will bring you back for a program on that. But we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back for the big part of the show. This is The Rock. I'm your host, Steve Blair, and this is going to be the show that makes a difference in your life. We'll be right back.
Fosrich for all your electrical, industrial, lighting, and energy needs. Visit us in Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. Fosrich, making innovation and quality a lifestyle. The time by Fosrich is
10:31. Everybody needs a helping hand, somebody to understand. In the end, we're all human. For people living with HIV, no discrimination. Here to support them through. Respect you as usual. Got to protect them too. Whether your friend or your family, somebody in your community, people living with HIV. Protect, accept, and respect people living with HIV. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Yahweh, you are Yahweh, yes. You are.
Hey, Love FM family, this is Sona G letting you know that you can listen to my new single Yahweh featuring Jason Mighty right here on the family station Love 101 FM. This song is about the greatness of God and Him being Lord, Savior, and King over your life. Thank you for listening. Style it up.
You give me everything we need in a sick middle lot, no. Hey, I'm in a lot, no. I am in run to. Remember what I do with me.
Welcome back. Welcome back to The Rock. Well, this is the time of day when I say the usual thing at about 10:32, and that is, if you have a topic that you'd like to see in this program or you want to be a guest on the program, please don't hesitate to write to us. And of course, write to me at transformjamaica@hotmail.com. And you can also give me a call at 876-295-9141. 876-295-9141. And we'll take your call and see what we can do to get your topic or yourself on the air. We really look forward to having the topics that you've been presenting to us and the ideas. But more than anything for today, our topic for today is going to come up in just a minute, but I want you to get your WhatsApp out, get your phones out, send in your WhatsApp messages on the topic, marriage. What do you say? What does the Bible say? Send in those WhatsApp messages to 876-997-3125. That's 876-997-3125. Looking at what's happening with the Rockites real quickly. Want to say good morning to Marva Linda, who was our very first person on this morning on YouTube, and Gabriel Emmanuel Borrell, who was our very first person on Facebook. Look forward to our interactions together today. Let me see what the others are saying. They're all saying good morning, and hopefully you'll have a lot to say on the topic, which is going to be very important. Let's bring in our guests today. These are very important people as we discuss the most important topic, marriage. And so I see Miss Carrie and Dr. Leah Kim Samaj. I know you all will have a lot to say. Marriage is something on everybody's lips, whether it's something good or something bad. But first, let's look at marriage. And I'm going to ask it from two different perspectives, maybe. So let me ask you, Carrie, give me your thoughts on what marriage is, and we'll look at that moving forward.
I believe that marriage is a sacred union. It was created by God to bring union, to unify man and woman. When God created creation in the beginning, He made male and female for every species. He gave Adam rule over the earth. He noticed, though, that Adam himself did not have a companion. So He made a companion from Adam, a helpmate suitable for him. From his rib, He made Eve. And the purpose of marriage is to have perfect sacred unity. Because the Bible is riddled with this whole theme of union and unison and agreement. And in the union of marriage, two people are sent out oftentimes in a bid to do the work of the kingdom. Even in terms of the New Testament, you find that happening with the apostles as well. So marriage, for the sake of the kingdom, it is a foreshadow of the relationship that God wants with us. It's the koinonia, the knowing, the intimacy. And when I say that, I don't mean to say that God is literally having sexual relations with us at night, but intimacy is more than sex. It's really just knowing intimately and being known. And it's a foreshadow of what Christ is coming back for his bride. And there's so many there's so much symbolism of the bridegroom and the groom and the bride, because marriage is God's first institution that he gave to give us an indication of what real union and unity is for. And so that's what I believe that marriage is. It's a spiritual thing. It's not just a legal thing. It's first a spiritual thing.
Okay. So Dr. Samaj, we've heard a spiritual perspective. So I'm going to be very tough on marriage today in a sense. So we've heard about marriage in the box of the spiritual mind. Your thoughts on marriage?
Mine is quite simple. The single most important factor that impacts your mental and your financial health is the person you marry. That's how powerful and important that concept of marriage is. Nothing is more powerful in impacting, and that's why I say, when I say your financial health, it means totality of your quality of life and your mental health. So it's a very powerful. So I'll be speaking to you not as a Bible scholar. I'm speaking to you as a psychologist, as a quantum transformation psychologist, where I combined neurology, quantum physics, and psychology into one total package in how we understand human behavior. So yes, that thing called marriage is a powerful, there's a thing I refer to sometimes. I say, look, when I talk, I focus a lot on men, because women get a lot of advice from all over the world, all over the place. Look how many things you have in Jamaica. You have beauty contests or 20,000 different ones. So to groom women. Who's talking to the men here? I'll try. Teenagers have girlfriend. Contraceptive failure. Reuse baby mother and baby father. Big man get married and have wife. Those are the three levels that I see this at. And just how, in terms of how also the family, as especially when you're coming, is a smallest unit of a people. The smallest unit of a people. And it is most powerful. It impacts everything we do. The family is the first school. Parents are the first teachers. Everything extra is extra lesson. So that's what's so important, what happens in that union. And the big problem, however, is that we don't tell people, we don't talk about the dynamics of marriage. The only people, probably even on this panel, who know, remember, first of all, we say it's a legal union. Okay, let's hear the details of that legal union. The only persons that know the details of the legal union called marriage are either divorce lawyers or people who have been divorced. The average person has no idea what they're signing up for. If I had my way, I would move the whole thing about marriage and so on from the, what you call the place now, the where you go, birth certificates and so on. Registrar General. I'd move it to the company's office. I said, Mr. Bear, okay, you wish to start this union? First of all, how many directors? That's the first problem. Because many unions start off with some silent directors and nobody never even know about those. What is the financial base on which you will build this entity? For me, you have to come up with a deposit. Why? It is based on that, all those wonderful things you said. You will start building an investment portfolio with an insurance component and a savings component for you to pay the bills down the road. And by the way, I talk about the law of parenting. The law of parenting says that if you are so fortunate to be called on by God or by the universe to continue that process of life, so that a child comes through you. You are responsible now to feed, clothe, socialize and educate that child for at least the next 18 years, irrespective of divorce or death. You understand me? You are making a commitment forever. No, on what basis? Now you see that deposit? That goes into a fund. And you're gonna be, that's the fund's gonna be growing, from which you will do the wonderful things that you talked about. All you have to do in Jamaica is stand before somebody and say, I do, and you pause a few minutes and say, I do, and you pause, and you say, I will. And then the person, I now pronounce you man and wife. No, where was that preparation? A lot of people, they don't get married because they can't afford the wedding. Wedding is not marriage.
But they spend a lot of money on the wedding and make no preparation throughout marriage.
For marriage, yeah. So we need to talk about that. And marriage is as I said, my first sentence, it sums it up totally for me. And not just me, you can research it. The single most important factor that impacts a person's life, financially and mentally, is the person they marry. So that's why you choose this very, very carefully. I saw my wife posted something on LinkedIn recently and said that just told her mother, so I said that you don't date somebody that you would never think of marrying. You know, dating without prospects for marriage is like shopping without any money in your pocket. You're going to thief something. You're going to be tempted to steal something. You have no money in your pocket. You have no intention. So I think we need. I am happy that the producer was brave enough to invite somebody like me on a program like this. So it's not just the believers talking to each other. You know, but it's important. Yes, marriage is an important institution. It has social, psychological, financial, all kind of implication. But we need to educate people to the fullness of it and prepare them for this institution.
Well,
you know, I feel.
Okay, I'm going to take a break and then I come right into you and what you have to say. So we've heard from the great Jamaican quantum, I can't remember what he called himself, transformational gentleman. And when we come back, we'll hear from Miss Carrie. So stick and stay with us. This is going to get real deep because we're going to delve into every aspect of marriage. And as I said, this program today should really help somebody. We'll be right back.
Think ahead, make a plan. You got the freedom of choice.
Lark, long-acting reversible contraceptives.
I made my choice 6 years ago. I have an IUCD, also called copper tea, and it will go and protect me from pregnancy for another 4 years at least.
My choice was an implant. It lasts for 5 years. And when I'm ready for a baby, I just make doctor take it out. Contact the National Family Planning Board at 9681632 to find out more about the Lark.
Think ahead, make a plan. You got the freedom of choice.
Touching lives every day, so many different ways, a part of all you do. Sagicor will make you feel secure, reaching out for more, will always see you through. Reach for more, whatever you're dreaming, whatever your goals, will help you achieve them. You're never alone. Taking care of today's needs, take care of tomorrow's dreams. Every day helping you succeed. That's what Sagicor means. Today's needs, tomorrow's dreams. Sagicor.
Okay, where are the campus eyes?
It's all about the gospel. So tell me back one bang campus. Youths are going on bang campus. Come on. And he knows my name.
Here is your opportunity to connect with someone who will listen, pray, and give guidance. It's the Ministry of Counseling and Prayer of the Edgewater Baptist Church. Please call 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Please talk to someone if you're finding it particularly challenging to cope during this period of crisis. Someone is waiting for your call. Please reach out today, 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. It's the telephone counseling and prayer ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church. A reminder that somebody cares. Endorsed by Love 101.
When I come to the end of myself, Father, carry me.
Welcome back to The Rock. We're discussing marriage today, and when we went to the break, I had stepped in and cut the lovely lady that's our guest today, Carrie Heron. And so I bring her back on now to let us get her thoughts on marriage and maybe I gave the doctor maybe about 10 minutes. I'll give her some time before we start our real discussion. Go ahead, Carrie.
I agree that marriage is the most important relationship on earth that we could have, because it is one that factors into everything. And as somebody who helps companies as well as individuals build healthier and wealthier relationships with themselves and others, I understand this from both that level as well as even from a personal level as well. The thing is that one of the problems I'm hearing is that we're not really thinking. Dr. Simaj mentioned a really key word: commitment. Marriage is really ultimately about commitment. I have made a decision and I'm going to honor this decision. The ability to one, know yourself, two, know what you want, and know, being able then after that decision to be able to identify who is a helpmate suitable, who is somebody who you can work in agreement with towards that. Because listen to me, you can't just pick a girl because she's pretty and she's round and like an English pound. You know, it has to be something way more than that. You could be smart. There are lots of very smart women, lots of very educated, smart women who are going lots of different places. It doesn't quite mean that there's going to be a synergy in terms of your purpose and hers. And if you are going to go on divergent paths, it's going to cause problems thereafter. And it's not as simple as, okay, somebody has this, has to be 5 height or, the 6 feet tall or whatever. Not we're picking on very superficial, very, very superficial perspectives, because we're not really taught what relationships are. We're not really taught about things like purpose. We're not really taught about the importance of choosing a partner. We're not taught about the things like family values. We're not taught about how to build society. So even when teenagers are growing up, they're learning all sorts of things in schools. But in terms of the things that really matter to them, like my guy talking about that girl, she's the cutest one, and this one talking about that boy, he's the hottest one. He's a rude boy. He got swag. He's got style. But Mr. Swag and Mr. Style has absolutely nothing to contribute to your future. And when it is that the whatever hits the fan and something happens and there is a pumpkin that walked into the water that walked into the pumpkin belly, Mr. Man is going to swag his way away from that responsibility. You're gonna be left with that. So we have to also, you're right, Dr. Simaj, not only educate our girls, but also our boys, call them into greater accountability, understand the role of manhood, how important they are, how important their decisions are, that the fact that they can actually think without having use of a third leg, they can think mentally, they can make really great decisions, they can separate their emotions and their urges and really make proper decisions regarding what it is that they're going to go with. You know, there are people who are being too superficial. The internet is not helping for sure. We can't leave it up to church alone. But somehow we need to have greater discussions about this because we're going back to slavery. Slavery is not the beginning of our history. A lot happened in slavery in terms of breaking us down and breaking down the family dynamic. When you look at African society, you look on the role of the man, you look on how people stay together, how the family structure is very strong, the role of the elders, respect for elders, respect for, you know, the sanctity of family. That's different. We cannot emasculate men, we cannot sideline men and think that it's going to go any better. You can't say, okay, girls must be educated because they're going to be the ones who end up with the kids and not educate the boys because they're supposed to be the ones who are going to take responsibility. A child who is without a father is going to be in a worse situation. We've got to be able to do more for our young people because marriage, good relationships are the foundation of good societies.
So you're saying, and you're saying loudly that our environment and the things happening around us impact the success of our marriages, and a lot of people don't realize that. Dr. Samaj, we're seeing it every day, and we're talking about the issues every day. The surroundings, the boys not finishing schools, the many boys, young men that not going to college anymore compared to 30, 40 years ago, the many women who are getting their doctorates. What's happening for these people moving forward? And mind you, folks, let me start by saying on this program we are looking at marriage from the perspective of what the Bible offers in the terms of a man and a woman. Because in this country called Jamaica, so much has been changing that when I go to schools, principals ask me to speak about sexuality in my sermon and to put my old sermon away so that I can speak on homosexuality because it's rampant. So we're really encouraging the teaching that marriage is between a man and a woman, but we have to look at what's happening in our society and begin to address it if we want to look at the success of marriage. Dr. Samaj?
Yeah, it's so important that we have to break down some terms and explain these things to people. For example, we mentioned love because that's one of the premise, huh? But how much time is spent dissecting that and what it is? One of the things that I have come away from the work of, say, Eric Fromm, and I love I build my own definition based on him. It says that to love somebody is a pact that one imperfect person makes with another imperfect person. Love is a decision that you make. By the way, not a feeling. Why? It's a judgment. It's a promise. Love is a decision, a judgment, a promise. If love was merely a feeling, there would be no basis for that promise to love each other forever. A feeling comes and feelings go. How can I judge it will stay forever when my act doesn't involve judgment and decision? So that when you tell somebody you profess your love for them and you will love them forever, because it's a judgment you're making. You're making decisions that irrespective of this happening and that happening and so on. So we really need to get that into the minds of our people. So when they make commitment, how can you make a commitment when you don't understand the premise on which, when you feel good about somebody, when you feel bad about somebody, look, wives, and especially somebody growing up and never seen parents have disagreement, and for 2 days, cold shoulder and cold vibes, and then they talk it out and resolve it. They don't understand that's all part of love. It doesn't mean that we're gonna see everything the same way every day. So for them, the first time something happens and the first time the disagreement, some silly disagreement, it becomes fatal, it becomes terminal. So yes, what's happening around you, and that's why the importance of education.
Well, as you said, education. Carrie, we have about 3 minutes. The fact that we don't get teaching on marriage in school, and so many people approaching marriage without counseling on the basis of love. I'm in love with her. Um, those that presents a problem for the institution of marriage.
I'm happy you brought this up because that's exactly where I was. And I wish that more people had access to a Dr. Leakim Samaj in our population because we have so much to heal from. We need, there's a lot of brokenness in us. There's a lot of disconnection between us and ourselves. A lot of things that happen, like people, generations of broken families, generations of trials and traumas. We don't have the toolkit, the resources to be able to navigate the conflicts that happen in normal everyday relationships. So when some little thing happen, as the doctor just mentioned, then it becomes something really more magnanimous than it really has to be. And then it escalates. Also, you see that as well, even in domestic violence situations, because people don't have the tools to be able to walk through things in a very healthy manner. We're not able to make this, even to identify potential red flags, identify things that could be potentially harmful from upfront, or even if we're able to identify them, to make a decision to separate what could feel like your emotions being overwhelming because the man make you feel good. He told you all of these nice things. He tell you your butt are flying all over. You're not able to say, okay, I feel this way, but what happens? Why am I feeling this way? You don't recognize that the reason why you're feeling this way is actually your body saying, listen, run. Put your foot in your hand and run. This man cannot be trusted. But you've never been told to think, to listen to your body, to listen to your thoughts, to pay attention to what people do, not just what they say. You haven't been given this level of wisdom. And so you don't have the tools to be able to navigate. We need more healing. We need more counseling. We need therapy, serious therapy, cognitive therapy, so that we can be able to find the resources so that we make better choices before we enter into relationships, and also to create healthier relationships, because healthier relationships become wealthier relationships. It's one thing to be together. Is it healthy? Is it meaningful for both of you? Are you helping each other? Yes, you're broken people, as Dr. Leah Kim Smarsh says, but are you now helping each other come into the fullness of the spiritual growth that is needed for you to walk together? Marriage is a very up in your face thing. It holds up a mirror to yourself. So what are you often
Mr.
finding?
Blair, if I may make.
I give you 30 seconds. 30 seconds. We're going to the break.
Yes. Well, two things. There's a Jamaican saying that before you're married, open two eye. After you're married, shut one. I approached RGD about becoming a licensed marriage officer. And the first thing I wanted to know, y'all got this thing locked up. First of all, what's my congregation?
Yes.
You either have to have a church, or they only allow one non-connected to a religion person per parish to be a marriage officer. Because I wanted to have that potential that I could literally help people to walk through it, work through it.
We're going to go to the break, so I fully agree with you. I'll talk about that more later on. We got the WhatsApp messages coming in. We got the YouTube messages. We got more. It's all about you. It's all about marriage right here on The Rock. We'll be right back.
Get ready for another inspiring show this Testimony Tuesday Inside Alive, 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. June 4, packed with inspirational stories and island-flavored music. 1:45, we bring you the brain testing mentasized listener speak edition. Stick around for prayer blast at 2 o'clock as we ring in the prayer bells of heaven. 2:15 Inside the Evidence. Listeners, do you have a powerful testimony and you're longing to share? Well, the phone lines will be opened this Testimony Tuesday to take your testimonies. And then at 3 p.m., we go behind the pulpit for another life transforming journey. So stick and stay with us. All the Samoa will come alive 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. June 4 with yours truly, Sarah and the Choppy One on the Valley Station, Love 101.
Tell me how you feeling. Everybody feeling alive. Just the spirit feeling alive. Okay, where are the campus eyes?
On the next edition of Campus Connection, we will look on academic burnout. Academic burnout is a very real condition that affects students. It's characterized by negative emotional and physical reactions to prolonged studying, leading to exhaustion, frustration, and reduced motivation in school. But what can individuals do to overcome this occurrence or even prevent it from happening to them? Join the conversation with Miss Nisha Johnson, Yui Mona, and Miss Deidre Mills JP, applied behavioral therapist, and our honorary guest, Miss Kitania Headley, head girl St. Catherine High School. This all happens on Tuesday, June 4 at 5:30 p.m. on the Family Station, Love 101.
When tape diapers are difficult to change, it's time for Pampers Easy Ups with 360 stretchy waistband. They're easy to put on and take off, keeping their skin dry and protected.
Changes are easy with Easy Ups.
My Mega
With so much to do in one location, make Mega Mart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills, fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy, all in one amazing location. My Mega Mart, the best value by far. My Mega Mart, the best value by far.
Get ready for another inspiring show this Testimony Tuesday Inside Alive, 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. June 4, packed with inspirational stories and island-flavored music. 1:45, we bring you the brain testing mentasized listener speak edition. Stick around for prayer blast at 2 o'clock as we ring in the prayer bells of heaven. 2:15 Inside the Evidence. Listeners, do you have a powerful testimony and you're longing to share? Well, the phone lines will be opened this Testimony Tuesday to take your testimonies. And then at 3 p.m., we go behind the pulpit for another life transforming journey. So stick and stay with us. All the Samoa will come alive 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. June 4 with yours truly, Sarah and the Chirpy One on the Valley Station, Love 101.
Tell me how you feeling. Everybody feeling alive. Just the spirit feeling alive.
I'm Deidre Parchment, and I love summer.
Hi, I'm Ella the Voice, and I love summer.
Welcome back. Welcome back. So much happening. And of course, the messages are coming in. So let me just read a few from WhatsApp. And then I think we have some voice notes. Blessed morning to you, Mr. Blair. October will be 3 years of marriage for me. And I'm just 31 years old. Marriage is incredibly important and powerful because it represents a lifelong commitment between two individuals to love and to support each and things. It is a sacred bond that brings a man and woman together in a union. It's meant to last a lifetime. Another person says marriage provides a sense of security, stability, and companionship that can enrich and enhance every aspect of one's life. Furthermore, power to create a strong foundation for a family, providing children with a stable and loving environment to grow and to thrive. It also allows for shared goals, dreams, and aspirations to be pursued together, fostering a sense of unity and teamwork. In addition, marriage can bring out the best in individuals, challenging them to grow and evolve as they navigate. Well, we have some voice notes. Let's go to the shorter one if you can, and then I'll read one more.
Guests on the program this morning. Marriage is a sacred union that God made from creation, and the devil attack it, and the devil is still doing so even now, and he will not stop until God come. But I'm wondering those people that go into marriage, what they really think when they're going to it. What caused them to want to be married? What really? They go before God, man, and make a vow. What happened to those vows? Till death do us part. Right now, as far as I see, it's not dead. Till death do us part is still trouble start. I seen marriages right now. It make me, I don't even want to go to a wedding. That's how I feel about marriage right now. Nobody don't invite me because I'm going there to listen to lies, and I'm not into it.
Good morning, Pastor, and your team. Yes, I just want to talk a little about marriage. Marriage is honorable, and marriage is love. Yeah, man.
All right, so marriage is a union between a man and a woman, as was conceptualized by the Creator in Genesis. All right, in the New Testament, it ought to be a representation of the relationship between Christ and the church. So our earthly marriages ought to follow uh, basically the relationship between Christ and the church. Can it work? Yes, it can, because God would not have put something or asked us to participate in something that is not workable for us as a human. That would make him unfair. And we know that he's a fair and just God. Not everyone is to be married according to God's will and purpose for individual lives. For some persons, it will not entail marriage. What is the challenge with marriages nowadays? The challenge is what it is with the world. We have all moved away from allowing Christ to be the central focus of our marriages, and as such, we have that challenge in today's.
Well, looking at YouTube, Joan Sterling gives a rather good point. She says, "Good morning, Rock family. This subject needs to be on the school's curriculum. Also, both sexes will know how to treat each other." You know, very, very good point. God Bless Fee says, "Marriage is God's idea and it must be done God's way. The maker is the designer and the definer." So let's bring back in our guests, because they're sharing quite a bit, and we've looked at marriage. One of the things Dr. Samaj said earlier is it kind of corrects one of my arguments, because normally I would say, Dr. Samaj, marriage is not about love. It's so much more than just love. But you put it in the right perspective by saying, look at love properly. It's not just a feeling, and that's important going forward for so many people. So let's get back into this. So people spend much money on marriages, but very little money on counseling, getting ready for marriage, getting ready to live a lifetime together. And the way I normally say to people, doctor, is I have three brothers, and we will argue occasionally, maybe once or twice a year, but there is going to be differences between us. Why should I enter a marriage and not expect differences? So help us prepare people for differences, because people don't understand the importance of the Bible uses the phrase equally yoked.
But I think that concept of being not unequally yoked is an extremely important perspective, because look, it has cultural, it has social, it has psychological implications. And one point that you raised earlier about the differences in terms of the men, boys, say boys and girls, no, men and women in our society, I see a lot of things whereby a woman who is upwardly mobile, academically and work-wise, and she's with a man who is not doing any such thing. So they start off at the same place, but she's upward. Literally, she grows beyond him. She's now discussing other kinds of issues, and her thoughts are changing, and he is not evolving as such. So, in many instances, that process is fraught with danger because they're literally growing apart. So that notion, can it work still? Yes, it can if you were prepared for it. So from the very beginning, and somebody could help you to understand, you know what's going to happen here now. You know, you're going to graduate school, your thoughts are changing and so on, he's not. How do you stay in touch with each other? And there are many women who have to almost dumb themselves down so as to keep in touch with a male partner who all he wants to do is come home and watch TV and play sports and so on. And before you know, they're living two separate lives. So that's kind of reality that we really need to prepare people for. So it has certain decisions will have to be made and how you get through these issues.
One way to get through those, I guess, Carrie, would be looking beforehand at expectations. What does he expect? What do you expect? You know, Jamaican men love when they know their woman's going to have the dinner on the table, but today's young women don't want to cook at all.
Yeah, expectations are also important. But even to get to that point, I think we also need to be honest with ourselves and honest with each other. Because we also have a situation where people want to be picked for the sake of being picked. Everybody wants to be liked. You like the girl, you sort of like, you wanted to move on and to progress in a certain kind of way. But sometimes we are not honest with ourselves in terms of what it is that we want. And we are more concerned about being likable and being chosen than we are about being assertive about who we are.
We
and
want to be
what it is
likable
that
before we get married. After we get married, we don't care. We want what we want.
Yeah, you want to be picked just for the sake of being picked. But what if you're being picked by the wrong person? What if your need to be liked is greater than the sense of being liked by the right person and then being fixed and attached to the right person? Because you can pick anybody and you can work with anybody, but is it going to be compatible? And that's where you have the friction as well, because you can have completely different interests, but you are compatible in a certain kind of way. And yes, you can move together. You have a certain level of understanding and space and grace to grow with each other, all of those things. So the expectations are important, but we also have to be honest. We have to learn to be honest. We have to learn to sit down and figure out who we are, what it is that we want, what it is that we don't want, and to be able to vocalize it and be honest. In this day and age, nobody has to lie. If you want to be one of those birds that fly on 15 wings, you can find somebody who's willing, in fact, who wants somebody who flies on 15 wings. So don't lie about that. Be honest about who you are so that when you are making the choice of coupling with somebody, you are going to get the partner that is right for you and you for that person. And then your expectations will be different, because if you are going to be somebody who is polyamorous and you're entering into a monogamous relationship, that's going to start problems from day one. And there's so much about twisting that and thinking, okay, well, the marriage is going to change the man. When he puts a ring on your finger, he's going to change. He absolutely is not. That does not change him. Who he is before is who he will continue to be. And if he's lying before, he will continue to lie as well. So let us be honest and upfront in terms of who we are.
Honesty is very important there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very important to have that honesty there. And of course, the expectations, though, I'm speaking with a young lady who tells me that she got married and the young man doesn't pick up his stuff, and as a result, she's just very disturbed and continues to be disturbed over time. but then the expectations for the marriage, that is something that should have been addressed beforehand, going into it, in terms of finding out how this person is, what this person does, and then being honest with yourself. But in some cases, what do you do when you have a child for him before marriage, or you have a child with him, and you say to yourself, what do I do here? How do I move forward? And I married this guy. Well, I thought I loved him, but he doesn't have these qualities that I desire in a man.
So you're going to divorce because him don't pick up him things? Hold on a second. That's something that you can hire somebody to do. There's so many different ways to solve that one problem. And that doesn't seem like a reason enough to end a relationship and a marriage. I think that we're looking too superficially. We have to find other ways. Do you rather have pick your problem? Because we all have them. None of us is perfect. I may want to wash the dishes 2 hours after the food is cooked. Somebody will want to wash the dishes immediately while they're cooking up. Am I going to end a relationship because of that? So I don't know how Dr. Leakim Samaj thinks about that.
Dr. Samaj, a lot of women out there, especially women, because I would figure, I don't have the facts before me, but I would figure that at least 80 to 90% of the time when a marriage ends, it's the woman taking a walk, and for a very almost superficial reason at times. Don't stone me, ladies. So can a progressive woman make a man, a husband who is not at her standard, any better? Can she pull him up without tearing him down?
That's a question.
That's a good question. Can she lift him higher without
almost impossible? There are many. Yeah, I mean, good question. But the observation are, oftentimes it doesn't work. It doesn't work. The notion that, because there's some deeper underlying issues. I've seen a lot of women try, and they end up very disappointed, because look, that man had a set point in his mind as the kind of person he is. And I can tell you some stories where everything that she did for him, he would now take that, and he's now minding 1 or 2 other women that look up to him as the kind of person he is. So it's a dangerous thing for her to try to do. Men change on their own because of their commitment to you. You set out that you're going to change him and so on. That's a bad bet. That's a very bad bet. And by the way, the kind of superficial things that Carrie was talking about before, you realize, think about leaving the toilet seat up, squeezing the toothpaste from the middle, all of those. Some of those things have been resolved now because the toothpaste now stays good. But people used to every time squeeze the toothpaste and so on. And look, the longer when you're set in certain ways, and that's where the counseling, the discussion, all of those things are raised. And another point that both of you raised, say about conceived in sin and shaped in iniquity. So many relationships are conceived in sin because it was based on a lie. My first policy is that at the beginning of the relationship, deal the cards face up. And Carrie's right. Whatever you want, there's somebody out there who wants exactly that. But there are too many. I'm really sorry for a lot of women get trapped in relationship because it was based on a lie. The man told her a bag of lies that she wanted to believe many times. Afterwards now, after she is now committed and she's vested, she's now finding out, my original question, how many directors are in this union? Who is the managing director? Who is the... It's now she's finding out that, hold on, there are 3 other directors in this organization. And my voting, I only have 20% shares in terms of the voting rights. So we must deal the cards face up. And the same thing you do with business. Would you hire somebody now without any kind of
background check,
referrals?
Yes.
References? To understand what happened before, where, and to find out who this person really is. My only difference, this is about for life. Yes, I do believe till death does part, but till the death of the relationship. When once a gentleman came to me, I was telling him about the problem about the relationship. I said, hold on, we have to be very careful to make sure the relationship is dead. And then you bury it and leave the cemetery. But if you try to bury it before certifying it's not really dead, that's a whole different crime you have committed. And in me working through him, would you believe we rekindled the relationship? Because what he thought was fatal, he realized that there was a perspective issue that he was not thinking through. And oftentimes, there's a wonderful Japanese concept, kintsugi, whereby you see these pots, beautiful pots, well, that are broken. But what they do, they mend the pot with gold or platinum. And they leave the cracks, they leave the mend in there. So the pot is now stronger and more beautiful than it was before. So yes, things that are broken can be mended and made stronger than before. But oftentimes it requires external assistance. The data tells us that relationships go through about 6 years of problems before they get to the point of seeking assistance. And the problem with that, by then, people have become calcified in their positions. And so much water so many awful things have been said. So that's why it is the very first step I do before you go into it. It's important that there be significant counseling. After you're in it and you talking to your friends, sometimes the worst thing you can do. Yes, my dear, you're right. Left it. It's the worst thing you can do. They don't help you to see things more. You need professional assistance. And oftentimes, my program is very simple. I tell this first, I'll speak to you, 2 sessions at least, but then I want to speak to your partner.
Well, I speak to the woman first because they normally say much more. The man will respond to what she has said in some kind of way, yes.
Yeah, but you need to independent. And then when you get to the point where you can get them together in the same room and so on, and then you act as translator to help them through, because the communication would have sometimes totally broken down. But we don't put in the kind of work that is required for this. And as I said before, because with all due respect, Pastor, oftentimes the pastoral counseling is not sufficient.
No.
Because yes, people may even be members of your church, and yet they may share your denominational perspective. But human behavior is more complex and nuanced. And the training required to help people to work through these things, a lot of pastors don't have it. Yes, you know how to utter the pastoral edicts and so on, but with the dynamics that going on with this person, it wouldn't hurt for them to have somebody else. That's why I wanted to be one of those people. I wanted to have the.
And I think you're very correct. I think you're very correct. And one of the lessons, I've done pastoral and counseling at the master's level. But what I did learn more than anything else after I did that course was I stopped counseling my members, because I found that the members who exposed themselves to me did not want to be in church with me after a while.
Exactly.
Right. So I don't make it a point to counsel members. I prefer to refer them to someone and to see them get their freedom. They can come to me for prayer and for advice, but the counseling is done elsewhere. Right?
Many years ago, listen, we're talking about 1978. I was a guest speaker at a church in Harlem, New York, on Family Day, a black church, and I was raising some questions about how people get involved in multiple relationships and what drives it, and the dynamics and what we need to do to understand so that we can give people guidance. And the pastor got up and he admonished me. How dare you even raise those kind of issues in my church? This is the house of God. And he went on for about 10 minutes. And then a woman got up and says, Pastor, you are a damn hypocrite. You know what's going on in this very church. You want me to call some names, Pastor? And he quietly sat down. And I continued. Afterwards, he came and he said, Dr. Samaj, you know, I'm sorry about what I said, you know, but, you know, as a pastor, I have to take that kind of position. But oftentimes, you know, but you know the dynamics. And that's why even within the Catholic Church, what has happened over the centuries, in terms of the sexual abuse and all of that kind of things, and they're still coming to grips with it and so on, so that human nature is more powerful than religious doctrine. So yes, we are guided by our doctrine, but we still have to understand and help people. There's some basic issues that go beyond doctrine. Speak the truth.
Yes, honesty as always.
Honesty.
Let me just throw something at Carrie here as we go into the break. Carrie, Doc mentioned the noise from the others in the relationship. People bring everybody else in. Don't do this, don't do that. Your thoughts?
Again, this situation of in 2020, in the year of our Lord, in 2024, there is no reason for anybody to not be 100% of who you really are. Show up as who you really are, with your, as Africans say, with your big chest, like proudly stand on who you are and your position. Why? Because those other things undermine your relationship. You're not going to be able to do much with it. If you have 2 or 3 baby mothers, 2 or 3 different homes you're going to have to build, it's not going to go that well for you financially as well. It's just too complicated. If you want to have a situation where you have multiple persons, let all the persons know exactly who they're signing up for. Don't waste other people's time who are looking for something else. Do not pretend that you're otherwise. And if you find that you find yourself in a position where somebody lied to you and said that you were persona number 1 when you turn out to be persona director number 5, you know, in the list of directors, then you have to just also evaluate. I mean, because you love this guy or because this situation is what you're in deep, does that mean that you're going to continue? You also have to create boundaries as well, like how it is that you're going to show people how you accept love and how to love you. You can't change people, but you can change yourself. You can say, hello, if this is a job that you're offering, I hereby tender my resignation. I do not like to work. I will not wish to work for this company anymore. I'm sorry, I'm going to find a job elsewhere. And if I can't find a job, then I'm going to make my own. But this is not it.
Yes, and
are you talking my language? Huh? You know, what we're talking about, that's why very early we need to know yourself and others' love language. Because people's love language differ completely. You know, some people believe it's in gifts, it's in doing, it's you name it. And again, getting good advice early in the relationship.
The start is where you win it.
And, you know, maybe, you know, we need to have another construct, you know, that the basis on which some marriages need to be annulled. So it's not really a divorce, because if this is a business and in set up the business, you lied. So the basis on which that business was set up was not legal, was not. So maybe some marriages it's really an annulment, because you went into this understanding that this man was quote unquote single. Well, he was technically single, but he had 5 baby mother, which he did not express on his application form.
You know, I also
we're going to the break, and Dr. Samad, what a thing you do right there, so because I want to talk about the men who end up with children that don't belong to them. Anyway, this is The Rock. We're going to a break.
Get
Get ready for another inspiring show with Testimony Tuesday inside Alive, 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. June 4, packed with inspirational stories and island-flavored music. 1:45, we bring you the brain testing Menticize Listener Speak Edition. Stick around for prayer blast at 2 o'clock as we ring in the prayer bells of heaven. 2:15 inside the evidence. Listeners, do you have a powerful testimony and you're longing to share? Well, the phone lines will be opened this Testimony Tuesday to take your testimonies. And then at 3 p.m., we go behind the pulpit for another live transforming journey. So stick and stay with us. All this and more will come alive 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. June 4 with yours truly, Sarah and the Chirpy One on the Reality Station, Love 101.
Tell me how you feeling. Everybody feeling alive. Just the spirit feeling alive.
Touching lives every day, so many different ways, a part of all you do. Sagicor will make you feel secure, reaching out for more, will always see you through. Reach for more, whatever you're dreaming, whatever your goals, will help you achieve them. You're never alone. Taking care of today's needs, take care of tomorrow's dreams. Every day helping you succeed, that's what Sagicor needs. Today's needs, tomorrow's dreams. Sagicor.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
Get ready for another inspiring show with Testimony Tuesday inside Alive, 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. June 4, packed with inspirational stories and island-flavored music. 1:45, we bring you the brain testing Menticize Listener Speak Edition. Stick around for prayer blast at 2 o'clock as we ring in the prayer bells of heaven. 2:15 inside the evidence. Listeners, do you have a powerful testimony and you're longing to share? Well, the phone lines will be opened this Testimony Tuesday to take your testimonies. And then at 3 p.m., we go behind the pulpit for another live transforming journey. So stick and stay with us. All this and more will come alive 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. June 4 with yours truly, Sarah and the Chirpy One on the Reality Station, Love 101.
Tell me how you feeling. Everybody feeling alive. Just the spirit feeling alive.
When tape diapers are difficult to change, it's time for Pampers Easy Ups with 360 stretchy waistband. They're easy to put on and take off, keeping their skin dry and protected.
Changes are easy with Easy Ups.
You are a dedicated small business owner dreaming big of growing your business and reaching new heights. With Access Financial Services, you can grow from where you are to where you want to be. Grow from a corner shop to your very own store, from truck driver to trucking fleet, from hairdresser to your own salon. Secure your small business loan of up to $20 million and watch as your business grows from plan to possibilities. Grow your business today with Access Financial Services. Conditions apply.
Good morning, Pastor and friends. Yeah, my little input about married, I don't know. Sometimes I look at myself and said, was I stupid or what? Because when I see most people are giving up their marriage for something even less and simpler than what I've gone through. I married my husband for 48 years. We have 6 children. And I tell you, the ride was rough, really rough, because I got saved a year after we got married, and he always been drinking, and no matter how I try to encourage, he would be drinking and behaving like I don't know what to say. And I see people nowadays, they would call that abuse what I've gone through. But I never leave the home. I would stay humble and pray and all of that. And I still perform all my duty, taking care of my children and do what I should do. He was a hardworking man, though. And 12 years before he died, he got saved. He took it 2 years before death, and I was the one. So I don't know. When I look back now and hear how people divorce for what and what, I have to say, boy, was I a fool or whatever?
No, you were not. No, you were not. Uh, let's bring back in the guest. A lot of people give up. Sometimes I look at marriage, Carrie, and I see the picture of the person digging a hole under the mountain, and the answer or the place they want to go to is right here, but they stop right here. Sometimes the good times can come if we just do the right things a little bit longer or wait a little bit longer. But we're not a waiting society anymore.
You know what what I think as well is that we need Jesus and therapy. Can we normalize therapy in our society? It's not a broken thing to go to therapy. It's not you're not mad if you go talk to somebody. In fact, you're smart, you're wise. An astute man, an astute woman would be somebody who'd be willing to sit down with a psychotherapist, a psychologist, and sit down and talk and deal with some things. Find language, find resources, because there's a spiritual aspect of what is going on, but we also need to find tools. Like when I was doing my NLP coaching in Dubai, one of the things that I learned was reframing. That post a really great tool for me. For example, I remember as a part of our practice, there was somebody was saying, she was annoyed about picking up stuff behind her gentleman, and so and he brought up that same example earlier. But one of the things was in her reframing thing was, it's like, isn't it great to have somebody to pick up after? I mean, when you put things into perspective, a lot of the things that we think are so formidable, sometimes they are very deep issues. Yes, I admit that, and we need those tools, but sometimes it just needs a minor tweak. And where there are real deep issues that are known, coming across as something as simple as, oh, you can't stand for seeing. Why you can't stand for seeing? Because there's something about what happened with when he did something with that woman, that director who was undisclosed, and you found out about her, that you've not been able to trust him. And so you treat him bad now, not because you disrespect him, but because he has broken you. And there's betrayal. But can we talk about how we have normalized betrayal as part of our relationship dynamics, and how detrimental, how crazy that is, that itself? Thinking that betrayal is supposed to be part and parcel, that okay, you're supposed to deal with it, and as long as you are the wife and you have the ring and you live in the house, then you're better off. Like, those things are not healthy. We need to normalize therapy. You talked about they not enforcing the laws. I wish that when they would enforce the laws, put the fines on, take that money, incentivize lots of women and men, a lot of young men as well, to do more psychological studies, for whatever course of work that you're gonna be doing. But we also need people to, one, enter in more into therapy, and two, we need insurance to cover therapy. It should not be expensive. It's a basic right. If you want a better society, make it accessible for people to access the help. It's going to be better off for society in our long run. There's so many things that are going to be better. We're going to be better stewards of our money, better stewards of our welfare, better stewards of our of our relationships. The whole society is going to get better when we give people the help they need before we end up with the basket cases.
I like that. I like that, because Doc will tell you that we have so many mental cases. We use the word mental case, a lot of people step back, but we have so many people facing mental challenges as a result. But Doc, we see that most men don't want to have counseling in their marriages. So they don't see the issues as being that important for them to step into a place where for me, counseling puts everything on the table, and men don't see that importance.
Well, I approach it from two perspectives. 20 odd years ago, I had a program on TV called Man Talk. And when I designed a bar as the set, the station was upset. I said, no. It's my bar. People come to my bar to talk to me.
Can I tell you something? Stop for a second. I'm going to put myself on the fence. I visit bars as a pastor. I have men that pray with me in bars. I have found that men do not go to the bar to get drunk. Men go to the bar to fellowship and to talk.
Exactly.
And we've not seen
Well,
that.
So that's exactly what I did. So that what I had, my immediate guests would sit at the bar, and the so-called studio audience would play dominoes. And every now and then, just like in a bar, you hear a discussion.
I remember the show.
You buy it out, you come over, you buy it out and take part of it. I have been proposing for years that part of the training of bartenders, hairdressers, and barber should be in counseling. They are the first line of counselors.
Yes.
So that they would know when to make a referral. So no, boss, you can't do that. You need to. The other thing that Carrie just said, I have struggled with this for 30 odd years. For insurance companies to recognize therapeutic interventions, because in the US and elsewhere, the bulk of people, they do so via their insurance package. But what has happened in Jamaica, psychology is still identified as profession appending to medicine. They haven't, the government fully hasn't worked out the process. So therefore, the insurance companies don't know what to do with it. It's strange. I'm probably one of a few psychologists who are recognized independent by the court, by the insurance company, because they do it on an individual basis. I've had situation some time ago where a horrid domestic violence case, and I got a call from the court. They were referring the people to me, saying that they must see me first, and then I can make a suggestion as to what should happen later on, because the judge didn't see this as it made sense just sending this man to prison. He wanted for them to try. About 15 years ago, the court had me do a project whereby they wanted to know how could they get more psychological intervention, free to sentencing in general. So I worked with a whole protocol, what could be done, because they realized in so many of these issues, our two biggest challenges in Jamaica is one, conflict resolution and anger management. And when you add sex and relationship to that, you will have conflict resolution issues and anger management. So what was being said here about the insurance being there? And remember, Jesus also went to parties at the wedding of Cana of Galilee, so that Jesus didn't wait for people to come into the temple to fellowship. So, Pastor, you're doing the right thing. You go, them that are whole need not a physician, but them who are sick. So we go to them. So we have to change that narrative when we can speak to men, so men can understand the context of getting help. It is anywhere I am, any context, and I hear young men with certain kind of argument, I buy out the argument. I say, boss, you can't do that. What do you mean, father? What do you mean, uncle? No, boss. If you do that, at jail you go. So we have to do that.
And I think that when they do that, when they actually start covering psychological therapy, with any sort of therapy that's not just psychiatric, in terms of prescription and all that, then it's going to help to reduce that the notion of it being something negative. People are going to feel like this. I was reaching for it. Thank you. It's going to reduce that strict stigma, because then it's going to be normalized. So make it accessible, and also train more people as part of, we need more help, more tools in every aspect of our situation. That's why we are accelerating into violence. We're going into crimes because we just don't know how to walk away from a situation. We don't understand that when a woman says, all right, she don't want it anymore, it's okay. You're not going to die.
With that, we go into a break. And we could go into our last break of the program. When we come back, wow, we only have a few minutes left. And when we come back, it's going to be about success, moving towards success. There's so much more to touch on. Maybe you need to pressure my producer for number 2. We'll be right back after the break.
Get ready for another inspiring show this Testimony Tuesday inside Alive, 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. June 4, packed with inspirational stories and island-flavored music. 1:45, we bring you the brain testing Menticize Listener Speak Edition. Stick around for prayer blast at 2 o'clock as we ring in the prayer bells of heaven. 2:15 is the evidence. Listeners, do you have a powerful testimony and you're longing to share? Well, the phone lines will be opened this Testimony Tuesday to take your testimonies. And then at 3 p.m., we go behind the pulpit for another life transforming journey. So stick and stay with us. All the tomorrow will come alive 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. June 4 with yours truly, Sarah and the Choppy One on the reality station Love 101.
Tell me how you feeling. Everybody feeling alive. Got this feeling alive. As a man living with HIV, a regular day from me, not much different from yours. I have to wake up and go to people and work in the traffic, but then when we reach, we can run some joke with my co-worker them. Sometimes we link up after work, or play ball, or just dip on my ends and kick back before we go home. You see how much we have in common? People living with HIV are a part of our community. Make we par, protect, accept, and respect. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
You're invited to listen to Dollars and Cents every Thursday at 8:16 a.m. We'll give you tips on how to make your money count, how to save, and how to grow your worth. It's all inside Dollars and Cents, brought to you by BPM Financial Limited, taking you higher. That's Dollars and Cents every Thursday at 8:16 a.m. on the family station Love 101.
When you say phosphorus, you say electrical. SWA cables, conduits, transformers, and breakers. When you say phosphorus, you say lighting, chandeliers, and more. When you say phosphorus, you say LEDs and solar water heaters. Phosphorus is electrical, lighting, solar, and LEDs. Visit us today, Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. Phosphorus.
Welcome back to The Rock. Maybe let me just take a time here to touch on some of our YouTube and Facebook comments. On YouTube, Marva Lindo writes, I believe in the covenant of marriage. It is a God-given order. I'm looking forward to my daughter getting married. Even though I had a broken one, I would marry again, but God has to lead this time. Let God lead every time. But I want to tell you something. Even when God leads, boy, it's still up to us. You know, God can carry us to the well, but we've got to decide to drink. Marlene Da Costa says, I wish if my husband would say, I don't like this or that about you. Marriage is honorable, long-lasting union is the two become one and commit to one, the other in the Lord. Forgiveness is the key, because none of us are perfect. And, you know, sometimes why is forgiveness important? Because somebody hurts you and they didn't even think they hurt you. But that's why I say communication is the key. And we have not even touched communication. Let's bring back in our guests and let's look at moves towards success in marriage. I have the big C's, communication and commitment, but there's so many other things. We have the 5 love languages or more love languages. So I start with you, Carrie, because I say Karen, Carrie Heron. I start with you, Carrie, because I know when we get to Dr. Samaj, he just locks it down. He's the man. We accept that. We praise the Lord for Dr. Samaj. But go ahead, Carrie.
You know, I feel that there are the communication aspect of it. I think we need to learn to be able to express big feelings. We need to be able to talk about weaknesses. We need to find the words. So many times, we raise, especially our boys, to not be able to vocalize the things that are bothering them, and so they shut down. And they've been in cycles of shutting down, not being able to access things that are going to be very important for them to articulate their true selves, to be able to be vulnerable, which is necessary in intimate relationships. To be authentic, you have to be vulnerable. It works together. And so again, we could talk about those tools of but finding the language. Love languages are not only about how you express love, but it's also how the person is going to receive love as well, because you are more comfortable to express love in the way that you would like to receive it, but it may not be the way that your partner like receives love. So you may be doing a lot, you're doing the most, you're providing for her, but she's a woman who wants quality time.
I'll give you the example. I'll give you the example. I cook, I wash, I clean, I do everything. I kind of believe if I keep my wife fresh, that I'll be happier because she'll be fresh and ready for me. But I'm thinking, okay, she's happy. She has this kind of man that's going to do all of these things, and then she says to me, "But you didn't hang your clothes up." That her love language is me doing the things that are necessary for her to feel comfortable. She wants time. She wants those. So those are very important things.
And if we don't communicate in the way that people actually receive love, it will actually be lost in communicate, lost in translation. So you think that you're expressing love and they're actually feeling the opposite. And then too much of that under the bridge after a while. I'm divorced. So I speak as somebody who has gone through and understands, but I also am at a different place now because one, I'm smarter, not because I'm older, but because I've spent the time and the care to focus on myself, to learn, to understand my own contribution to that failed relationship. Because let me tell you, it takes two hands for clap. So regardless of how it happened, I know I'm at a place where I am not desperate for companionship. I am completely whole on my own. Somebody can add to that happiness, but that person is never going to be my happiness. And equally, if I am able now to look at the thing from a distance, then I don't have to enter into something because I'm trying to look for a savior. Listen, I have a savior already, named Jesus. A man is a man, not a Lord. So we have those things separate, and we need to get to that place where we are secure and we don't need men. This whole thing about idolizing marriage is also a bad thing. Let's go there. Let's go there. For the sake of saying that you are Mrs. or you have having a double barrel surname, people jump into all sorts of something. We need to not do that. If it's not going to be working out for you, if it's not going to be in your best interest, you can walk away. You're good enough on your own, sister. You don't need all of that. So that's my last words.
If I may add two components, this thing about when two become as one, that's bad math. You know, when two become as one don't need to speak. So that's a dangerous thing. You both have a perspective that is welcomed and necessary. So we have to honor the differences that we bring to the union. Two don't speak as one. All right. What you did to build the relationship, you need to do it to sustain it. Only problem if it was built on lies. You know, this woman went to the racetrack because there are plenty of men there to meet man. So technically his church was Our Lady of St. Caymanas. And she's now complaining that every weekend I'm going to a racetrack and won't come church with me. But when you met him, where did he worship? Our Lady of St. Caymanas.
Yes.
That's what you did to get him. So be very careful. Be very careful what you did to. So then I do believe that you have to nurture your relationship. This concept called date night. Where you treat the relationship like for every week. You don't just wait for Mother's Day or for God forbid Father's Day, because Father's Day doesn't even know
something. Let me introduce something that got me into trouble. Several years ago, while pastoring in Cayman, I interviewed my church and I asked them two questions. Tell me when you rest, because Cayman is a working society, and tell me when you spend time with your family. Everybody said Sunday after church. So I said, but you can't rest and spend time with your family Sunday after church all in one. So I cut out my Sunday night service. But at that time I said, I want you to go and have ice cream or go to the movie or hang out with your family. Call it date night. And people started cursing me. But I did that because in meeting with the families of the church, I realized that there were struggles and that they weren't spending time together. So what you're saying is very important.
You know, I introduced a concept during COVID called Fine Dining Friday. What was that? My wife and myself, we would dress up like we're going out. And we would dine. Now, back then, it don't matter what you eat, Could look at seasoned rice and butter, it don't matter. But you dress up because we're not going nowhere. And we would post this. People look forward to it. My biggest thing is now what suit am I going to wear next week, Friday? And then we meet for the first time in the dining room. So neither one know what the other one is wearing. It's like a first date. It was so, it gave me so much vibes through COVID to last to the next week. Just turning every Friday night into a dining occasion. Now, what I've added to that now, I do most of the cooking for dinner in my household. And my place is called Bistro Semage. And I've redefined my type of cooking. Jamaica's cooking, we spend too much time in the kitchen. My meals must take 45 minutes or less to prepare. You spend more time at the dining table than in the kitchen. And I post them. Yesterday, what I posted, I had Asian chicken and vegetable curry with quinoa.
Mm.
And I learned from my mother, the dining table, the dining room is the family altar. No, we don't even dine anymore in Jamaica. We feed each other like dog. You take your plate and go sit in front of the TV, you go sit down outside and you go sit down on there. So no, it's that dining table experience. So I'm saying now, refresh the relationship. Date night, fine dining, I call it Fine Dining Friday. Because you have to plate them on dishes and things, and you have them put on for what? When you're dead, people fight over it. So keep things fresh and alive, just like how when you first met.
Well, we've got to wrap up the show, folks. We didn't touch words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch, acts of service, receiving gifts, but we did in so many other ways. And I say thank you. Kathy, I know you're hearing me out there. We got to do a part 2 to this sometime soon. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Dr. Samaj, for joining us today. As we wrap up the program, all I can say is to all of us, take the time to work on your marriage. Take the time to love beyond love. Take the time to honor commitment. And as my wife always says to me, she's not worried if I'm going to do something wrong because she knows I fear God. And so I ask all of us to enter our marriage with an acknowledgement of God, knowing that God sees, He hears, He understands, and He knows. So if we can do that, then we can learn to trust each other, recognizing that there's a fear of the Lord. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and it is the start of success for everything in your life, including your marriage. My final words today, honor your husband, honor your wife. If they're not saved, let them see Jesus Christ in you. That is the biggest thing I'm going to say today. Let them see Jesus in you. Don't let them stay away from church because of your behavior. God bless you. Thank you for joining us. This has been The Rock. I am your host, Steve Blair.